All right, here we are. The last match of round 8 has concluded their time extension and is now moving through the 5 turns. It's Jund versus some control-ish deck. All right, so here's the deal. We're going to stick on. That match is going to end in a minute, and then
Okay.
they're going to cycle through the pairings, put the new pairings up. Players are going to figure out who's playing, who's drawing. We'll get some feature matches. We'll see someone playing for top 8. In the meantime, Beky and I are going to stay in here. I'm going to make a special offer for you guys. This was Nerd Rage's first 10K event this weekend, the team event. We're watching a 5K event right now. The team 10K is already over. NRG series has I'm told, at right now has 9,998 followers on Twitch.
That's pretty
if we
good.
Get 2 more, that would make 10,000 for you math specialists out there on our 10K weekend. So if we can get 2 more followers, which maybe we've already gotten within the last 5 seconds, here is the offer. Tomorrow, Monday, on Twitter, Nerd Rage will post a coupon code for a week, 10% off. See the emphasis of the 10 and then zeros. See different places? Yeah, nice, right? 10% off singles at Nerd Rage for the week.
Oh,
you want singles for Magic? We got them. We bought in a pile of stuff. Nerd Rage bought in a pile of stuff this weekend. I have no idea what all is over there, but I know it's just a ton of stuff. That'll get sorted out, put into the store stock. Then for a week,
goodies.
10% off, whatever you want. Beky, if you're getting 10% off, what card do you want, Beky?
I'm probably finishing the 4-color and Esper Elementals decks.
All right. Well, we already know what you want is like your 97th copy of a Pikachu token.
Yes, that too. I mean, here, hold up. While we're talking about singles, and I mean, these are not. Oh, these are giant Pikachus. Sorry, they're right by me, so I have to show them off a little bit. But this is my collection of Pikachus. Anyway, Excellent. So now you all know that I'm obsessed with Pikachu. Right. I would not buy if it's Magic singles though. Yeah, I'm finishing the 4-color Elementals deck, and I'm finishing what I need from Modern Horizons cards for Esper Reanimator Elementals, because I think that deck is sick.
I just realized I made a mistake.
Yes.
I shouldn't have had you do that. Oh. Because we just hit the 10,000. No problem, right?
No problem. Now, easy.
It is conceivable that someone could attribute us hitting 10,000 to your Pikachu collection, not to the Nerd Rage offer. So this was an error in marketing on my part. Anyway, we did hit the 10,000. So whether we hit it because people love Beky and her Pikachu collection, or because you love Nerd Rage Gaming and the series we're putting on to you, either way, starting tomorrow, there'll be a Twitter code. So if you follow us on Twitter, or you know what, you don't even have to follow us on Twitter. Just log in and look at the Nerd Rage Twitter feed, and there'll be a coupon code, 10% off for a week. And you know what? Nerd Rage sells cards for other games. We probably have Pokemon cards. So Beky can get all the Pikachu cards she wants.
Yes.
And the rest of you can get all the Magic cards you want, or Flesh and Blood, or Valorant. Whatever. Does that sound right? Is that a game?
That's not a card game.
Okay, there's something that starts with a V. I'm not sure.
Maybe. I don't know.
I only play pretty much only play Magic.
Vanguard.
So Vanguard. There we go. Vanguard. Digimon. We have Digimon cards.
Everything.
Yeah, we have everything. And by everything I mean those specific things I just mentioned. So. We have hit the 10,000 number. That's awesome. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for subscribing, or not. Well, you can do that too if you want to, but watching. Get notifications when we go live next month, which is really only in 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, 2 weeks.
In Milwaukee for Legacy and Modern. But in the meantime, we're still waiting for this. We can't possibly still be waiting for this match to end, right? Watch this. This is gonna be really sly. I'm gonna scoot over and see if I can see the end of the match.
Oh.
Looks like it's over. All right. So
I also looked with you. It's very far for me, but I tried.
All right. We have pairings going up for round number 9.
Let's go.
Okay. So players will get themselves situated. We'll figure out what we're going to watch. And looking at the standings right now in front of us, what does that look like to you, Beky?
Ooh, it looks like we got a lot of people who are very solidly in it, but this is kind of wild actually that we're seeing this many at 21 points all the way down to 8th place, and there's still one more one more round still to be played. So it looks like we're probably going to have to see a lot of at least the last 3 21 pointers definitely have to play, I believe, potentially that 4th one as well.
All right. Well, anyone at home who is more familiar with tiebreakers and standings than Beky is going to look at
Probably
this.
a lot of people.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say I'm sorry. I'm going to make you look a little foolish here.
No, it's
but,
okay. Go for it.
We have 8 people with 21 points or higher and nobody else with more than 18, which means we're going to have
Oh, it's a
4
clean cut?
draws. Yes, we are. It's a clean cut. We're going to have 4 draws into the top 8. So there will be no winning into this round. However, that does not mean there will be no magic on camera this round. We're going to
We're still
find
gonna watch?
oh yeah, of course. We're going to
All
find something
right.
interesting to show you guys and gals and whoever else may be watching, including Becky's dog and somebody's goldfish. And,
Yes.
there might be pet rocks out there. Everyone's watching this channel right now, obviously. So,
My Pikachus, my plants, they're all here. They're all watching.
all right. But what if the Pikachus are watching and they decide Magic's a better game than Pokemon?
Then I better get a Pokemon Secret Lair in Magic the Gathering.
Okay. All right. So, Matt Monte is going to find us some interesting matches. I know there was some wild stuff picking up wins throughout the day. Maybe not at like table 1, 2, or 3, but I know there was a Yorion Thopter Foundry deck.
Mm-hmm.
I know because the player pitched me to put him on camera, even though he had a few losses to say. That didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
But
Darn.
I'm sure there are some wild combo decks somewhere throughout the room. I can see some people shaking their fists as they perhaps draw into the top 8. Congratulations to all of them. We'll see them later, but we can watch the people, in the top 8 when the top 8 starts. This is round 9, and this is NRG Gaming, and we've been on a lot in the last 2 days, and we're going to continue on being here. So,
yeah, let's go.
Stick around. Beky and I are just going to waste some time, basically, until our feature match gets situated, and we'll see what Matt finds for us. You know what? We should chat, if you guys want to throw out suggestions. What is a random fringe modern deck? Now, we're not looking for people that are like 3 and 5. We want people that are like 5 and 3 playing an interesting deck that is like off the beaten path. So I feel like I see Zoe Riederman walking over to the feature match area. We saw her play earlier today with Byrne beating Joseph Bernal when he unfortunately challenged himself. But even the top players make mistakes, as we talked about at the time.
We've all done it.
I once card locked myself in a team event, and Joseph Bernal chalice locked himself out of a burn match. Beky, what's a gigantic, colossal, embarrassing mistake that you've made playing Magic?
Oh, I've played into my own chalice. I played into my own. Okay, so this was at like a local event, but it happened kind of recently. I was playing against somebody playing like an Asmo deck. So, and I had a chalice in play, and it was on 1. And I'm playing Tron, Eldrazi Tron, not Green Tron. And my opponent had like started off the match with like, oh, I'm kind of new, but then was like playing this Asmo deck, and I was like, oh, so you like, but it was like a very tuned version of the Asmo deck. So I was like, obviously you're playing quite a lot, even if you're new. And I like said some like really snarky thing about like, oh, do you know how Tron works? And then he was like, do you know how your expedition map can't get cast into your own Chalice of the Void? So I got absolutely wrecked by my own mistake there. But, it happens to the best of us. I hadn't played Paper Magic in a really long time, and I felt very humbled in that moment. And we're still friends. We're still talking. So even though I was like being a little bit of a jerk when I shouldn't have been, definitely kind of got put in my place there. So happens to the best of us.
All right. So I know I said we're looking for like fringe decks that might be like just outside contention, but still playing for money. It's in the money, right?
Yes.
Matt Monte has come through for us, and I believe we're going to be watching Orzhov hammer against Byrne.
Oh, I mean,
so right down the heart of the meta game, but that's okay.
Decks for us.
That's okay. We'll see if this match. I mean, one of these decks is going to overpower the other, and then we'll go to the backup match and see what's residing there. Maybe it'll be, Merfolk Charbelcher Cannon.
Team of Rhinos versus Azorius Stoneblade.
All birds all the time. No. Okay,
Maybe? Nope. We're sticking to Boros Burn versus Orzhov Hammer. All right.
All right. Well, we'll see what gets put in front of us when the players start playing.
Just
But
give
yeah,
us
what would
something.
be? I want to see this all birds all the time deck. And if I
What?
don't
How
see
many
it
birds can you think of?
in Magic, I don't know. There's like Birds of Paradise.
Yeah.
There's Silver Urn. And the only reason I know that was because like 15 years ago, somebody was doing a crossword puzzle, and it was like a name for like a seafaring bird. And I looked at the letters that were available, and I was like, Urn? And they're like, how do you know that? And I was like, because it's a Magic card.
Oh. Wait, somebody asked me the other day how I knew what something was, and I was like, it's because it's a card in Magic the Gathering. And I don't remember. It might have been like pithing needle or something. And I'd used the word like pithing in a Valorant cast, and they were like, how do you know what that word is? And I was like, it's a card in Magic.
You're like, I am Beky Bell. I have an extensive vocabulary. Leave me alone. Don't question me. But
they all get really excited in the Valorant community when I throw out like Magic terms. Like I'm like, oh, this format is solved. And they're like, wow, that's a really like cool way to put it. And I'm like, yeah, definitely not coming from somewhere else.
That's okay. That's okay. We all steal from one thing and then spit it off in other formats like we're knowledgeable. We do that all the time. That's okay, no problem. All right, let's go ahead and go down to the table. See who we've got. We've got, I'm pretty sure those names are backwards, but we have Zoe Riederman and Connor Mullaly. Not only the names backwards, like everything's backwards. We could ask the players to switch sides of the table, but it's probably easier to switch the display. There we go.
There we go.
This is round 9, the last round of the Swiss. I'm here with Beky Bell. What other information is on this display here? You can find us at Twitch at NRG Series or on Facebook at NRG Series. You can also find us on, I said Twitch, that's the Twitter logo.
Twitter. It's okay.
Yeah. You know, we have Instagram too.
All birds all the time?
Yeah, right. Oh, I forgot we were trying to name birds.
Yeah.
All right, I'm not going to be very good at this. Mostly because I get too distracted. But
it's okay, same.
All right. More birds. They've probably all been reclassified as other things.
Yeah, I really can't think of a lot of birds in Magic. Like, because dragons don't count. Do phoenixes count as birds? There's a phoenix in every single set, but...
That's true. Like Shard Phoenix, going back infinite time. Rekindling Phoenix.
Oh, I like Rekindling Phoenix. All right, yeah, we'll look at some deck lists. Thank you.
Yeah, something to save us from this conversation. All right, so here we've got Orzhov Hammer for Connor Mullaly. There is a Ginger Brute, but there are not core outfitters, so we've got half of the technology that Will Kruger was talking about. Not to say that he originated it, just that this is what there is here. There's a cranial plating, and then we've got Thoughtseize, discard spells, and the sideboard, a couple prismatic endings. There are only 2 color prismatic endings here, but I suppose that's really what you're worried about are 1 and 2 mana cards, so that makes sense. Okay, and then let's see what Zoe's rocking here. Boreal Sperm, we saw her earlier, taking a pretty narrow win, so good on her. She's now 5-3. 4 Smash of Smithereens. Those are going to come in handy.
Huge.
What do you think about Deflecting Palm against Orzhov Hammer? That probably works too.
That works certainly if you're facing down a small creature with a big hammer.
That's right. How about a Nexus with a hammer? Just one-shot you with Infect. That'd be awesome. Path to Exile. I mean, Zoe could bring in an awful 8 cards easily could come in here. But
we'll and we might even see all 8 of those cards probably come into this.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go down the table. Zoe's still shuffling. How many cards are we leading into this hand? I'm not sure.
Oh my gosh, we couldn't even name Stormcrow.
Well, that's one we should have got. I was trying to think of the name. I remember in Revised there was a when I first learned how to play when I was younger. There was some kind of rock. There was like a mountain. Is like ROC rock, and it was a bird, like an eagle type thing. And I was trying to remember what the other word. There's like mountain rock or rock of the eagle mountain, but I couldn't remember. I can't remember what the name of the card actually is, and I was trying to. And while I was attempting to do that and failing, I lost track of thinking of other types of avian related Magic cards.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
a lot of birds, and it sucks. The moment you get put on the spot, all of a sudden you can't remember any of them. All right, so some mulligans happening. Looks like we saw Zoe here go down to 5 cards, which
Mm-hmm. Yep.
certainly a little rough. But if there is a deck that can push through it, the burn deck certainly is. Connor Mullaly, I believe, also took a mulligan to 6, so mulligans on both sides of the board, but at least getting to draw up to be equal for Zoe, and starting off with this Monastery Swift Spear that is not going to be able to attack into this Giver of Runes.
Yeah, that's never a good sign when your one drop with haste doesn't get to attack.
Mm-hmm.
Urza's Saga comes into play for Connor. Colossus Hammer. Connor is getting ready to roll. Does need an enabler. Interesting that the hammer would just come right down. Rock of Care Ridges, yes, production coming through. That is the one I was trying to think of. I actually don't know if it's a bird or not, but that is the one I was trying to come up with.
I like
All
how
right.
we also somehow got chat to just be naming a bunch of random birds from Magic's history. It's kind of beautiful.
All right. Rock of Care Ridges confirmed is a bird. Yes, I take 35% credit for naming that one since I didn't remember the name of the card and I wasn't sure about the creature type. But Chris can have their 65%. In the meantime, where are we at here? We've
Eidolon
got
of the Great Revel.
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly going to do some work. Both players are going to get chopped down by that.
Yeah. I always think it's really interesting when I see an Eidolon of the Great Revel get played kind of so early on,
Okay.
especially when you're at a lower life total than your opponent, and you're also going to be getting a little bit of a hit from this Eidolon of the Great Revel, but we'll see if that actually ends up being something that slows down Connor Mullaly, or if what is already committed to the board is simply going to be enough.
All right. So what actually what is going on here?
Unsure. The Colossus Hammer was played last turn. This Saga, I believe, should be at 2, but I see another hand there at the bottom of the screen, so I think that we are in a
Yeah, that's what it is.
little bit of a judge call. Okay.
Saga was supposed to go to 2 on the beginning of the main phase and may not have. See what? Oh, so was a land played for the turn? That's what happened. So I think the Marshalax was played, and the Saga should have gone to 2 before that. Now, beneficial triggers generally can be missed. Detrimental ones cannot.
Mm-hmm.
Unclear to me what Urza Saga would qualify as.
Yeah, me
because
too.
it is going up, and that's something you want to have happen, but it is on its way towards killing itself, which is something that you would not want to have happen. So, okay, the conclusion seems to be the turn is passed, and the Saga does roll up to 2. Interesting that Colossus Hammer was just thrown onto the board without, obviously there's no Cigar's Aid, but without trying to wait for one, kind of just chucks it on the board. I believe there might be a Paladin in hand, so it might have been a mana efficiency thing, and it did work out because the Eidolon came into play right afterwards. The reason I believe we're not seeing the Paladin come into play is that there's no Metalcraft.
Yeah.
So the Colossus Hammer can't actually equip for free yet until
we activate the Urza Saga. Yeah.
Right. So Urza Saga would activate, and then it would come online. Lava Spike. Zoe takes 2. Connor takes 3. This actually bizarrely ties up the game at 17.
Yeah, very bizarre indeed. I mean, I respect the Eidolon play, and it is a card that is good in this matchup. It is always just like, as somebody who's played Burn a lot over the course of the years, a little bit sketchy sometimes to be throwing it onto the board so early. But I mean, if it's keeping you at the same pace and all of your spells are going to deal 3 to your opponent and 2 damage to you, you are coming out slightly on top of that. So you just kind of have to hope that your opponent doesn't decide to hit you back for anything.
Yeah, well, I think you have to play it because every spell in their deck, as we saw very clearly in Natasha's City's Laughter, the average cost of this deck is every card is going to trigger the Eidolon. However, the Urza Saga is going to allow a lot of work to be done and mana to be spent without actually triggering it any. But Connor Mullaly, roll Saga up to 3. Are we making a token? I'm guessing we may not. We may just dump the Paladin onto the board and get going with the hammer.
Yeah, get going with the hammer, and we could search up something like a Shadow Spear to be able to gain us some life back in the face of this Eidolon of the Great Revel.
Yeah, that's actually another option is, in fact, search up Shadow Spear and just equip it and save the Paladin for later. Because
Mhm.
one connection with virtually any, like, that construct with a Shadow Spear on it, that's going to be tough for Zoe to beat. It doesn't need to have a Colossus Hammer. It just needs to be of any real size at all and have lifelink. And that puts Connor very safe against Zoe's, I think, mull to 5?
It was a multi
Yeah.
5.
And we saw Zoe with, maybe potentially 8 cards to bring in the matchup. And the reason why may be that she thinks she's going to have a rough time in game 1, so she's going to need the help. And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. So Paladin comes into play, enabling both equipment. Colossus Hammer goes first, and it's on there. Shadow Spear second.
Oh, this could be so bad if it gets to do an attack.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 16. And it's going to have protection from red. Good luck. There's a Nexus. It can activate itself. This is actually going to be a 17 if I'm not counting wrong.
Holy smokes.
Connor hesitant here, but I mean, yeah, you have to activate Nexus. Getting for 16 is enough. You don't need to push your luck.
Yeah. On the off chance that there is something in Zoe's main board, but it looks like there is not. Lands picked up, calling it quits. But I do think that as we looked at what is a sideboard option for Zoe, it certainly got to feel good to go to these sideboard games because there's just so much to bring in this situation, and you've got to feel pretty good knowing that you can sideboard into so many just complete bangers in this matchup.
Yeah, they're all still trading 1 for 1 for the most part, although Deflecting Palm is trading basically the opponent's life total for 1, so that's a good deal. So what's Zoe going to pull out here? I would expect the face burn spells to come out. Lava Spike, potentially. Maybe Skullcrack stays in. But Lava Spike feels like the first cut. And then after that, you have to make some decisions. You weren't a huge fan of Eidolon. I feel like going first, it's a decent bet that it stays in the deck.
Yes.
Going second, it may not. So what do you think? Lava Spike out, and what else?
I think it's hard to say. I think I'm definitely leaning towards Lava Spike taking out, maybe shaving on some of the Boros charms.
Yeah.
It's hard that I kind of want to shave on some of the like Monastery Swift Spears or a Goblin Guide because, I mean, on the play, I imagine that they stay in, but on the second game or the third game, if we get to it, I imagine we shave on some of them because a lot of the 0 to 1 mana creatures that can be played from this Hammer Time deck are really great blockers for that like first initial swing. So I think just being able to kind of get back, and you want as many things that are going to target creatures as possible. So these Searing Blazes are really good. The Lightning Helixes to be able to get yourself back a little bit of life are also amazing. Potentially maybe shaving some Skewer the Critics and Rift Bolts because sometimes enabling Spectacle when your creatures aren't connecting is going to be a little bit more difficult. So I imagine it's definitely getting rid of some things like the Lava Spikes and then just shaving a little bit of other spells to just kind of diversify the amount of things that you have to play.
Excellent. All right. Connor Mullaly's Orzhov Hammer up a game in a pretty resounding fashion, although not always difficult to beat the opponent on 5 cards. We've got 3 Sanctifiers and Vec, which are terrific at holding the ground, although if Zoe trims out some of the creatures, they won't be as good. Prismatic Endings, fine, but really, okay, so here, the Deflecting Palm is going to be pretty decisive against a lot of Connor's draws.
Yes.
I feel like there's almost no chance you could bring in Thoughtseize to deal with it.
But it might be kind of tempting.
Yeah, so yeah, you could also try and play around Deflecting Palm by just not like being careful on how big of a creature you actually make. Like maybe you trim a Colossus Hammer. I don't think that's likely to happen, but I'm just thinking about ways you could try and minimize the potential of Deflecting Palm to screw you over in a game that you'd otherwise win.
Yeah, very fair. So potentially some of the Colossus Hammer is going to be swapped out for something, potentially doing something like the Seal of Cleansing, so you could get rid of something like that Eidolon or putting in the Prismatic Endings for the same reason, because Eidolon can be a big beating and can kind of force you into situations where you have no plays in a game that you otherwise would be able to dump your hand into.
Yeah, but let's not kid ourselves here. Like, Connor could submit his targeting 60 and be just fine. This deck is good at flooding the board early, is good at creating some life gain effects. And what are you reacting to with your...
The Thought Seizes are in the deck.
Really? All
Mhm.
right. How interesting.
I
So,
do believe we're seeing a way to get black mana. Not that I could initially see, but you know.
if they're there to fight against potential deflecting palms, they don't need to be played on turn 1 or 2.
Yes.
So that might be okay. So we starting with a Rift Bolt is probably not ideal, but again, if some creatures got boarded out, then it's more likely that happens. But we really want to be killing creatures here, I think. Even though a lot of them, I don't know, maybe that's not true. Maybe we want to be going to the dome and just using Smash of Smithereens to prevent the creatures from getting out of control and ignore the bodies themselves. Because really, if your opponent's got a 1/2 Stoneforge Mystic or a 1/1, Giver Runes, is it worth a card of yours? Maybe not.
Yeah, I am not too sure either. And Connor going to go ahead and just pass through that first turn with that Rift Bolt on suspend. Doesn't really want to commit anything. Not that I know that Connor has anything to commit on that first turn anyway. Mostly what I saw was the Thoughtseize, some lands, and a Stoneforge Mystic, but is going to also enable this Swift Spear to get on the board, get a little bit of a pump from this Prowess trigger, and get some damage across the board on Connor's life total.
All right, so Connor down to 12. That's more progress than happened last game for the burn deck. And let's see, there's a Saga. Anything else? A Stoneforge Mystic, okay. And a pass of the turn. Colossus Hammer enters the hand. Zoe has a fair amount of land, I think, but there are still some spells in there.
Oh. All right, so Lava Spikes, something that we thought were going to be taken out, are actually still in the deck and kind of on the play here, I think working nicely, at least for now, being able to commit a lot of damage Connor's way, as well as pump up this Swift Spear so that it can attack through some of these smaller creatures that Connor also has in play.
Yeah, I mean, Zoe could you maybe minimizing the sideboarding in game going first makes more sense, and then going in with the heavier allotment of sideboard defensive measures when going second in a potential game 3, as we see the Stoneforge Mystic chump block, and then a Rift Bolt suspended, and I believe that is Zoe's last action. But Connor is at 9, heading to either 6 or potentially 4 if doesn't find a blocker that he likes. And then next turn, with no mana to spend on anything, Zoe can be free to bring that Loris into hand.
Ooh, all right, using this this Saga is going to go ahead and just be spent to cast another Stoneforge Mystic. And Stoneforge Mystic is going to find Shadow Spear, which is a big reason that Connor was able to get that first game. Well, the Colossus Hammer was a big reason. Obviously, it's a big card, but getting able to have that pressure from gaining life back is certainly very huge against the burn deck.
Now, here's a spot where something that seems unjust. The Urza Saga triggers the beginning of the main phase, so Connor gets to see what he draws before he chooses what to tutor for. The Rift Bolt triggers on upkeep, so Zoe has to choose a target for the Rift Bolt before seeing what she draws for the turn. She shoots Connor. There perhaps are scenarios where, given the knowledge of the top card deck, maybe she'd shoot Stoneforge Mystic instead. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a commonplace occurrence, but it certainly could happen. As Swisper comes in here, and if Connor doesn't block, then he's dead to any sort of 3-mana burn spell, so he blocks. So he plays a Horizon land. In case Connor had not blocked, I feel like Zoe would have wanted to have that Horizon land on the board first, so she could have drawn and potentially drawn a Lightning Bolt that would have won the game right there. But not the choice that was made there, and she may have other reasons for her decisions, as is to be often the case when I speculate on why players might be doing things. I am then made to look foolish at a later point in time.
Happens to the best of us.
Ginger, certainly, and if it happens to the best of us, then it may as well happen to me also. So, Ginger Brute, the tutor target for Urza Saga, comes into play, counts as a 1/1, also counts as a food, so that is a potential couple life for Connor to gain.
Ooh, thinking about
Ooh,
Pure
yeah.
Steel Paladin now. Pure Steel Paladin would enable this Shadow Spear and Colossus Hammer to get equipped.
Well, Zoe can't let that happen. That would be bad. So
that
here
would be
is.
very bad.
So this was okay. So I didn't see what the draw was right there, but if it's a lightning bolt type effect, then
Oh no.
Connor did
Oh
block. So
no.
yeah, oh boy, is this the deflecting palm? That would be insane. There it is.
Oh my gosh.
Effect! Whoa, Connor Mullaly,
oh my
you're
gosh.
you're eating the whole bundle on that one. That was
Woo!
something like 20 damage. So
21, 22 damage?
I don't. It was, yeah, maybe
10
it was
from
a
each
lot.
Colossus Hammer, 1
Yeah,
from Shadow Spear, 1 from
yeah,
Ginger Fruit.
yeah.
Oh
Now,
my goodness. I before we started that game, I was like, if I get to see a deflecting palm do like 10 plus damage from deflecting a hammered creature, I'm gonna be so stoked. So I'm actually so thankful that we got to see that almost immediately.
that was pretty cool. So in case you're wondering, because you're saying, well, that creature had lifelink, so the deflecting palm break even. I believe it actually the way it actually works is the it's not reflecting the actual damage. It's the damage gets absorbed, and then a different set of 22 damage is done back to Connor.
Yes.
I think is
Yeah,
effectively
the source comes
yeah,
from deflecting palm, not from the
yeah,
creature.
yeah. So, well,
Whew,
Connor
all
Mullaly,
right.
yeah, Connor Mullaly did all the work in both games. It just only worked out in one of them.
Yeah, just the other time all the work went right back his way. It's hard to decide what you would try to sideboard differently then as a result of how that game kind of went. Just maybe this time trying to be a little more careful, though. I mean, Connor was also at 6 life, didn't have a ton of time
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be careful in the face of that situation. And if you were ever trying to gain enough life to stay in the game, that also meant equipping the Colossus Hammer, which would have been lethal each way back at you.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So we saw he did bring in some Thoughtseize, or at least one, and that would be an answer to this deflecting. Although in that particular case, if it came off the top alongside that Horizon Land, the Sunbaked Canyon, then Thoughtseize wasn't going to do anything anyway.
True.
And Connor was just destined to die. So Zoe Riederman paired up in this last round, playing for the money at 5-3 against Connor Mullaly 6-2, trying to maintain his position above her in the standings and on the play. So we talked about potentially going second in game 3. Zoe might have some different thoughts on sideboarding, maybe want some more. Although we did see, I mean, I think regardless of who's going first, Smashing Smithereens is coming in.
A
We saw
plus card regardless.
Yeah, and it's probably the same of deflecting palm as we saw there. So maybe it's the path to exiles that would be different, or you know what? Maybe she boarded all 8 both ways. Maybe the exiles don't come in either way. I don't know. She's an experienced player, so she probably has a good idea of what she wants to do, even if we aren't privy to the knowledge. And Connor's got a Thoughtseize in his hand again, and that hand's going back.
Potentially no way to cast that Thoughtseize. We also saw Connor mulligan the first hand in the last game and go to 6. So
all right.
Potentially
So we got the die out there showing us and keeping track. Just a reminder, Connor, you're not going to get away with anything here. You're on 6 cards.
I do appreciate all visual representations from a coverage standpoint. So
it does help make up for the alternate universe holographic card alterations that players seem to like to use on occasion. It's like, oh, this card is Thanos flying through the Millennium Falcon using his powers to destroy the sun. What card is this? It's a forest. Get out of here.
And it's getting harder every single day.
Yeah, we do not need your altars.
This is a good card in this matchup.
Esper Sentinel, yes it is. I agree. However, it is easily held back by something as little as a Monastery Swiftspear, the smallest creature in Zoe's deck. So we'll see if she's got something to... Well, I guess it's not going to be held by that anyway, because the Swiftspear would just attack right past.
Yeah, and
So
hopefully,
we have
or
we
a
have a
Goblin Guide.
Okay,
So potentially Connor getting to draw a card either way, depending on what is on
that's
the
true.
top of his library.
Reveals.
Cigar to Zaid.
All right. Well, I'm sure she's happy to know about that.
But not a bad start for either of our players. And seeing that Cigar to Zaid immediately come down. Ooh, but putting on a Shadow Spear.
Yeah.
Gonna get us back some of that life immediately.
Well, at least it wasn't the hammer.
That's
That would've been
true.
worse.
Is a hammer worse? I'm kind of debating in this matchup. I'm not actually sure. Certainly both are a beating, but
Yeah.
I do kind of wonder which one feels worse for the burn player to see.
Mm-hmm. All right. No, that's not going to work as the Sentinel tax is currently 2, not 1.
Mhm.
So, Zoe backs up her payment as it wasn't a legal effect, and Goblin Guide free to attack now. Shadowstone equipped. And is that another Cigar to Zaid? I think it is.
So in multiples, not as good, but certainly not a ton of ways for the Boros burn deck to be able to remove that.
Ooh. Connor
Ooh.
with redundancy of several things here. A pair of Springless Drums, a pair of Cigar to Zaids. That's not really the best cards to have multiples of.
Yeah. And certainly not good to not have a creature to hold this Shadow Spear to get some of this life back that Zoe is slowly burning her way through.
And her hand has action in it. It is
Oh,
not
yeah.
not a light hand. She's taking a point here, but here comes 3 points to the face, a double attack. Goblin Guide reveals.
Not a land, I don't think, but hard
Is it a
to. It looks
paladin?
like a pure steel paladin, yeah.
Yeah, okay. There is a Pure Steel Paladin into play on the Swift Spear, which is, I mean, I'm sorry, on the Shadow Spear.
Mm-hmm. All right, I can
So
see some lava spikes in hand, and I believe a smash to smithereens, but I could be wrong. This time an Ornithopter, the reveal.
No, you're right. There's definitely a Smash of Smithereens in hand. And that's pretty good. Catching that reveal there as we're only seeing a sliver of the card, but Ornithopter sounds right to me. And Connor's life total depleting. There's a Smash of Smithereens. Take out Shadow Spear. Connor, you are in trouble, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Trouble might be an understatement, as Smash to Smithereens, one of the best cards to possibly have in this matchup for the Boros Burn player.
Well, don't get ahead of yourself. Connor does have an Ornithopter.
You're right. My apologies.
And the Goblin Guide was blocked and traded, and that's it. Lava Spike off the top, and the Swift Spear is going to finish off Connor Mullaly. So that gonna do it for that match. Zoe Riederman improves her record to 6-3. Connor Mullaly falls to 6-3. Checking in on the other match, there's no one at the table, so I don't know if that means the players both just gave up and went home, or they're in the bathroom, or the judge call. I don't know. Double disqualification. It's really impossible to tell. So I'm told that we're not going to be watching whatever that backup match was. So we're back here in the booth, recapping the match. Well, deflecting palm.
Deflecting palm is a beating.
Yes. Zoe Riederman did sideboard quite a few cards, but none of the cards that we saw the cards we guessed that she would take out.
Yeah.
So she may have just trimmed across the board a variety of things. We have our next event. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, sometimes in the burn matchup, it's a little hard to be able to tell exactly what to bring in and out in certain matchups.
Definitely.
So you do kind of just end up shaving a lot of random cards sometimes. My dog has an opinion on it. I don't know if we could hear that, but
really, well, I wasn't interested in talking about the next event anyway. So if your dog wants to further expand on his thoughts, that's fine with me.
Come here. So you wanna give some opinions?
All right.
I think we can see him. Yeah, he's got some opinions on this modern format apparently.
Really? He probably has some opinions on you sitting in front of your computer all afternoon doing this too.
Yeah,
but we appreciate you being
that's certainly what it is.
All right. So we do have an event next month in December, the 11th and 12th. Legacy on Saturday, Modern on Sunday, a pair of 5Ks. You should come visit Milwaukee and play in our event.
Oh, yeah.
You should try and get the points to qualify for our championship, which is in January. You can join Will Kruger and the trio who won the team event this morning, who are all going to be there. We're going to take I'm sorry to say, somewhat extended break right now as the last round of Swiss is finishing up. There's going to be photos taken by the top 8 players, and then we'll get a bracket set up for you. We'll come back. Becky and I will take you through the top 8, top 4, and the finals. We'll see who is crowned the modern champion of NRG November in Chicago, and then we'll be out of here, and we'll be back in 2 weeks. But that sounds like a conclusion. It is not. Don't go away. We've still got like 3 hours of coverage left today. I told you we're going to be here all day. I was not lying. So it's going to be a bit of a break. Thank you for being here. Thank you for following